Hi everyone, I'm Kat and welcome to my channel, Naturally Beautiful Girl. So I know you guys have been waiting for this. It's taken me a little while, but I am finally here to share with you my thoughts on the Aether foundation and concealer. And to be really honest, it took me a little while to get my video up because my birthday happened in between when the products got to me and when I'm now sitting down to film the video. And I honestly just wanted to take a little bit of time away from my channel to just relax a little bit, and it was very needed, and I feel much more relaxed, happy, and I'm ready to be back with you guys and talk about these new products. So these launches, I feel like, really shook up the clean beauty community because the whole idea behind the Aether foundation is that it has a really large shade range. In fact, it has 43 shades, which I think may be the largest shade range of any clean beauty foundation. I'd recently talked about the Range Beauty foundation. I will link that video up above in case you're curious. That one has a very impressive shade range. However, this one is even larger. And I think part of the reason why that has been possible is because I'm pretty sure that Aether is some way owned by Credo. I don't know why they aren't just calling it like Credo Beauty, but they've given it the name Aether. But as far as I can tell from like poking around, it seems to just be like part of Credo Beauty. So that's why Aether Beauty is being sold on the Aether website, but also only through Credo stores, at least for the time being when I'm filming this video. So I think by having, Credo, which is a very large clean beauty store behind them, they're able to release a large shade range. So in this video, I am going to be talking about my thoughts on the foundation, how it wears. I'm going to show you a demo of me applying it. Also, this is pretty much a wear test because I put it on this morning about 8 hours ago and I'm now sitting down here to film this part of the video. I know there are a lot of reviews floating around in the clean beauty space. However, I do want to say that I do have oily, acne-prone skin, and I did watch a few reviews. I'm going to spoil this a little bit, but I'm not the biggest fan of this foundation, and I was really curious to see if other people had that thought. And the reviews I watched were overall very positive, but I also realized that the creators I was watching have dry skin and I have oily skin, and I think that may be a large part of why it's not one of my favorite foundations. I'm going to get into it, but I think especially if you have oily skin, I hope you'll stay through and watch this review. I think it could be helpful. So let's go ahead and jump right in. First thing is that this foundation does have a huge shade range, which I'm going to start out by just saying that this is incredible. Even with having super fair porcelain skin, I struggle all the time to find foundations that match. Obviously, if you are at the deep end of the spectrum, most clean beauty foundations don't go anywhere near deep enough. Like that's a fact. Or they kind of have a couple deep shades, but there's like a lot missing in the middle. There's a lot of work to be done on that end of the shade range. I'm familiar mostly with the very, very fair end of the spectrum. And to be honest, I don't always get to have my shade of the foundation either. It's not as big of a problem. I do have options. I do have foundations that work for me and that I like. However, there are a lot of foundations that don't come in my shade. And so I was really excited when I saw this launch and it having such a huge shade range that I would also be able to find a foundation shade that works for me. They have some really great color matching quizzes. I didn't use one of those. Like I said, other reviews have said that those are really helpful. They also do have samples available. If you are unsure of what shade may be your proper shade, I think going ahead and ordering samples could be really helpful. I've mentioned this before. I have such fair porcelain skin that I just go for the lightest shade, and hopefully that works, because if that doesn't work for me, then I'm kind of doomed. Like, where else am I going to go if the lightest shade is not light enough? I did go with Therese 530, which is described as fair with neutral undertones, which is how I would describe my skin tone. And I have to say this is a very, very good match for me in terms of shade. It's one of the best shade matches that I found. So I do think we're off to a good start there. I also should mention, I think I mentioned this in the beginning of the video, but I do also have their primer. I picked these up together at Credo Beauty. I don't know if this offer is still in place, but when I purchased these through Credo, when I purchased the primer and the foundation together, I got a discount on both the primer and the foundation. Check that out. It was like a discount once I put them both in cart together. There was no coupon needed. I'm gonna start off talking about the primer a little bit first, and then we're gonna get into the foundation because obviously I had to put the primer on first. I put the primer on half of my face today, so this side, the side that my hand is covering, is where I have primer. This primer is pretty much just like a clear primer. I've talked about primers and my thoughts on primers. I'll link that video up above, but I don't find them to be effective. I'm a really big proponent of prepping my skin prior to putting on makeup, so I want to make sure that my skin is nice and moisturized so that all the products I apply just go on very nicely and look and wear really nicely on my skin throughout the day. And I've really come to have a skincare routine that I very, very much enjoy. I really like the products I'm using. They work really well with my skin. And I've been getting my makeup to also look really good. And I think in large part it is due to my skincare routine. So I did put the primer on one half of my face and not the other. I'm going to also show you, I'm trying this new in this video, so let me know in the comment section down below if you like it. I really zoomed in so you can see my face with the one side with the primer and the one side without the primer. To be really honest, I can't tell much of a difference. Having moisturizer on is pretty much the same difference. And also when I do apply the foundation, I find that it applies the same on the side with the primer versus without the primer. I don't find the longevity to be any different from the one side with the primer to the other side. The whole time I've been testing out this foundation, I've been testing it out with one side with primer, one side without primer, swapping which sides it was just in case there was some weirdness that was affecting one side of my face and not the other. And to be really honest, after testing this thoroughly, I can tell you the primer makes no difference. I suspected that, but I did want to just go ahead and thoroughly confirm that for you guys. My recommendation is to just skip the primer. I think having a really good skincare routine and keeping your skin nice and moisturized, obviously using sunscreen, all that is really all you need. You really don't need the primer. There's nothing special. I didn't find it blurring. I didn't find it to make my makeup apply smoother, last longer, any of that. It was just another moisturizing step. That really was all it was. So I would not recommend the primer. Let's talk about the foundation. Like I said, I have the shade 530 Therese. If you have super fair porcelain skin with neutral undertones, this shade did work well for me. Obviously, there are a lot of shades. So I'm very hopeful that regardless of your skin tone, you are likely to be able to find a foundation shade that would work well for you. So here's my thoughts on this. I'm gonna start off and just be really honest. I don't like how it looks on my skin. I find that it sits on my skin and it just doesn't look that good. And I think this really came to the forefront of my mind, and I really was hypercritical of this because I've tried out some foundations recently that looked beautiful on my skin. I'm thinking the Range Beauty foundation, like that one looks incredible on my skin. Also the Hand Skincare Cosmetics, I did a video reviewing that. I will link that up above. There are various downsides with that foundation, but let me tell you, how it looks on my skin is not one of the downsides. It looks incredible. The Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation, I was using that again recently. I love how that looks. And when I stack this foundation up to those, it just does not compare. I find that it sits on my skin. It looks kind of cakey. It's not like the primer or not the primer. It looks bad on both sides, regardless of whether I primer or not. I've tried like really, really moisturizing my face. I've tried it with sunscreen on. Like I've tried this all different ways, and I don't like how it looks on my skin. I don't have dry skin. I have very oily skin. Maybe it's just the fact that my skin is very oily and it just like doesn't sit well on top of that. I don't know, but I can tell you I don't like the way it looks. So this shade is really nice. I find the best way to use this is to put on a very thin layer. I find that if I try and build it up, it just looks worse in terms of how it's sitting on my skin. Shearing it out is the best option, but it's still not great. This does have a fair amount of coverage to it. The Range Beauty Foundation has like a ton of coverage. So I wouldn't say that this one has quite as much. It reminds me more of the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation in the terms that you can shear this out, but you can also build it up quite a bit. So I do think that versatility of the foundation is nice. In terms of how it wears, so I typically apply this with a brush. That's how I always apply my foundations. I've kind of played around with trying to blend this out with my fingers a little bit, but really a brush is the best way. So this one is a bit more of a dewy foundation. It's not like a super glowy foundation, but definitely doesn't dry down matte. I wouldn't say it's like a skin-like finish. I would say it's like skin-like finish leaning slightly to the dewier side. And the other problem I have with this foundation is I do set it. I use my Clove & Hallow Pressed Powder Foundation. That's how I set all my foundations. And I feel like that gives me a really good way to test like the longevity of the foundation. And to be really honest, I don't find that this one lasts super well. I'm gonna zoom you in again. My skin is very oily. I did blot it off. I did also use a brush on my nose to redistribute some foundation around my nose because I'd blown my nose and the foundation had just like exited my nose. But let me zoom you in. I feel like especially like on my chin area and just like around this part of my face that gets like really oily, it just doesn't look the best. Like it is definitely breaking apart on me, moving around, and I don't love that. And also it's not looking great on my forehead either. So it definitely could be better in terms of longevity. Like I said, I'm also comparing this directly to the Ilia True Skin Serum Foundation, to the Range Beauty Foundation, to the Hand Skincare Cosmetics Foundation, which all just wear so much better on me. And it's not like it's been particularly hot. In fact, it's actually been a little bit cooler in Boston, just a smidge, but I will take it. So I haven't been as hot throughout the day. So if anything, my skin has actually been less oily and less sweaty, and it's still breaking apart more than other foundations that I like. So this foundation does contain some coconut products in it. And I talked about this more in my Hand Skincare Cosmetics foundation review video, because that one also contains coconut oil in it. And not all coconut oil breaks me out. Some does, some doesn't. This one, I can't tell if it's breaking me out, and I'm gonna explain to you why, because if you suffer from acne like I do, sometimes it's hard to pinpoint what exactly is causing it. I do have quite a few breakouts at the moment, and there are a number of circumstances surrounding it. One, I went on a very safe, socially distanced vacation in Cape Cod, but when I was there, I was not using my full regular skincare routine, so that and also wearing a lot of sunscreen, so that could be causing me a breakout. Also, where I am in my cycle, my acne can be a bit hormonal. I'm in a part of my cycle where I do tend to break out. Also, it was my birthday. I've been eating a lot more sweets and just like generally unhealthy food, which is also contributing. And I've been testing out this foundation. So at this point, I can't tell you which one of those factors is causing me to break out. Also, to add to the possible like skin irritation, is it is strongly scented. Like I feel like I normally forget to talk to you guys about the scents of products. I always get comments being like, what does this smell like? Does it have a strong scent? And I always forget to, because scent doesn't really bother me in products. However, this one has a very strong citrus scent. It has some sort of grapefruit oil in it, and it smells quite strong. I don't love that. It's strong enough that I really noticed it and was like, wow, I wish it had less of a scent. And I'm not a person who's like, no essential oils in any products. Like that's not me at all. However, there's just no need for the product to have like that strong of a scent. Like I get like a nice light scent in a foundation. Like that's nice, that's pleasant. However, this one is really strong, and I feel like grapefruit oil can also be a little bit irritating to the skin. So that could also be contributing to it. So I would say if you do have very sensitive acne prone skin, keep all of that in mind because it does contain coconut products and also has a quite strong fragrance and has some sort of like grapefruit oil in it. I guess I'm sitting here to tell you that I don't love it. Like I think about the foundations I look forward to using and wearing, and right now this is not one of them. Maybe I will find that during the winter when my skin is less oily that this product will work better, because I have oily skin and I live in Boston where the climate switches a lot between summer and winter. Like summer, it's very hot. In winter, it's very cold and very dry. And there's a chance that in the winter, this could agree better with my skin. I do have some foundations that are like my winter foundations and my summer foundations, but this one as a summer foundation just doesn't quite hold up. Also, like I said, if I do figure out that it's breaking me out, I obviously would not want to use it for that reason. The pros of it are the price is really good. Obviously, a huge shade range. This product is also cruelty-free and vegan as well. So there are some really big pluses to this, but for me and my oily skin, it's just not a favorite. Like I much prefer the Range Beauty Foundation. I would highly recommend that one over this one. The ingredients in that one are also much less irritating. It's formulated for very sensitive skin. The shade range is not quite as good as this product, as the Exa, but also Range Beauty is a much smaller brand, and the fact that they have as large of a shade range as they do is impressive. So I would say if you are really struggling to find your shade in a clean beauty foundation, the Exa foundation does open up a huge range of options that's not normally accessible to us. However, if you do have oily skin, it may not be the best foundation for you. It's just not been wearing that well on me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on other clean beauty content. And if you'd like to hear my thoughts about other foundations, obviously check out my Range Beauty review and also my hand skincare cosmetics foundation review. Also, be sure to check me out on Instagram. I'm at naturallybeautifulgirlkat there. And once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!